I'm a firm believer that our success as independents is going to survive on and thrive on personal risk management principles and automation.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the BLIP podcast, where we help agents build successful agencies. I am pretty excited today. I've got Chad Spaide on with me. I've known Chad for a little bit, and he is somebody who owns an agency. He has for a while. It's fairly large. He's got a fairly large team, and he's heavily into automation too. And it's kind of been a theme that we keep coming back to on this show is automation, how it can fit into your agency, what are people doing, and how are they using it. And so anyway, Chad, thank you so much for being with me today.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So I thought we'd just jump into it. Why don't you go ahead and give us a little bit of a background, kind of how you got into insurance, where you're at today, what your agency looks like, the makeup, all that kind of stuff.
Sure. That's always an interesting story anyway, how we all landed here.
Yes.
Mine, I'm from a small town in Ohio, so my friend's parents always did what I thought was well. And I asked his stepfather one day, "What do you do?" He goes, "Well, it's kind of like a State Farm agency." He goes, "What I do is I buy 7 years of Skier magazine and I sell it." And it keeps renewing. So I was like, I already tried out every major that you could at Ohio State. So I was like, well, you can make money at it. So I became an associate agent with a nationwide agent, and it just didn't grab me. And I left for a while and then matured a little bit and realized that there might be something to it. So I started this back in end of 2001.
Okay.
And really just, I knew I wanted to be independent from the nationwide side of it, the captive side. The guy I worked with there, he's like, "You need to come to this meeting and see if you want to work for this company." And I didn't. So I knew that if I ever got back into it, I had to be independent. So I moved out to California for a while. And then about 5 years later, I came back to it, and Farmers had the only contract that I needed to do what I needed to do. And it was open, and it allowed me to get in and slowly get independent appointments and let that go. I think it only lasted like a little over a year. And then you just keep chipping away. My first package policy was like Progressive West with Western Mutual or Pacific Specialty. I didn't have a package. So just keep pressing at it, keep getting at the carriers, and sooner or later you get them all if you want them.
Yeah.
And that's how it is. Now we're about 23 or 4 people or so in there. And it's funny, even after this time, I really think we're just starting. I think we're finally positioned to where we can grow. And it just takes a long time. There's a lot of bumps and bruises, and you shift in and out of your passion a little bit along the way. But, as you find your footing and go through all those things from employment to, whatever, you could go on forever. IT, bookkeeping, accounting, commission statements.
Yeah.
Carriers, loss ratios, all that stuff. And especially people are the only thing that hold you back. And it's hard to find the good, loyal ones that last for a long time. And I feel very fortunate about that. I love everybody that works here, and most of the people have been here for quite a while. It's just our newer agents that are still maturing a little bit.
So you've got 23 people working there with you. How large is the agency?
Premium wise?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think we're just a little over 20 million now.
Okay. And then do you have one location?
Well, okay. Well, without going into the history, in the past, I've been very against anybody out of the office.
Okay.
Now with technology the way that it is, it's enabled us to allow people that have shared time with us here move out. So now we have an agent in Utah, an agent in Dallas area, one in Carlsbad, one in San Diego, and one of our best customer service reps lives in Bakersfield. And you would never really know that they're not here. They work the same as they're here. It's been great. So you miss the bodies a little bit, but it also frees up more space for you and so forth to keep doing what you need to do. So I it was a hard shift for me just because I was just dead against it for no reason for a long time. But I think if they spend time here and realize our culture, it can be done. It's not for everybody because some people when they go work from home, it's either I always have to have that conversation where you got to be very careful not to let one win. And a lot of times, if it's not right for you to be on your own, and most of ours are in like satellite offices, attorney offices, or
Oh, okay.
something like that. Um, uh, but I think people could get into real trouble if they don't understand what it's like to be alone. And if it's out of their house, I think it's even more dangerous because it could either be their work life winning or their personal life if they really don't learn how to. I don't want to say balance because you're never in balance, but um, to try to find that anyway, to be able to shut it off on both sides of that fence.
Right, right. How to separate the two and have a clear division.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, well, cool, man. So you have your insurance agency, Benefit Source Insurance Services, but then you also have Pure Potential.
Yeah.
Tell us about that, because I know you probably are passionate about insurance, but
Oh,
I know that you love automation and streamlining things too. So yeah, tell us about the Pure Potential.
well, this was just an accident, really. It's I originally had somebody put in some automation for me, and it just didn't work out. And the more I looked at it, the more upset I got, and the more I started learning, and especially from the guys at Fix Your Funnel a little bit. They're big fans of what they do over there and how they experiment with different forms of automation as far as communication goes. And it kind of snapped it together for me, and I realized the power of it. So I just started banging my head all night long on the chat bot down there with the guys in India for a while, and just learning stuff here and there. But through my frustration and my disappointment of what somebody else could do for me, um, really was the best service they could have done for me because I realized the power of it. And as I learned more and more, I'm a firm believer that our success as independents is going to survive on and thrive on personal risk management principles and automation. And if you can get those two balanced right, you can bring something different to the public. And the deeper you get into it, the more you realize that the tools that are being offered to us to use are ridiculous. And um, I don't know too many agencies you can go into where they have a thing called prospecting momentum. And it's frustrated me because I used to be in a business before I got back into insurance where you could sell every day and kind of know your effort and kind of know where your month is. And yeah, you started over, but you had a gauge on it where we're always working out into the future. And when I started going into insurance offices back then, and I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you looking at the computer all day? Why aren't you selling? And it's like, I got a quote. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You got to do that. What are you doing? Oh, I got to buy. Yeah. You got to do that. And then you get the interruptions, right? We're constantly interrupted all day long. And by the time it comes around to doing prospecting, which is where your growth comes on, and of course you try to nurture referrals as well, and we're successful at that. But it's really hard for I think agents to go through all that shifting in and out of task and dealing with the tools that we're provided with to actually get to the point to where they can be in the right state of mind and have time to create sales momentum.
Yeah.
So automation can do that. It can support you, but we also need to go to work on getting those systems out of our way to where we can create time, whether it's for service staff so they can help nurture our relationships, or whether it's with our agents that are trying to grow, that are still in that mode where they're not the referral only. those are the guys that we need to have a transferable system to get them off to a fast start to where they can make it in this business instead of that 5 to 10 year crawl of disappointment. And one day enough rate increases come and enough policies stick and they're making it, you know.
Yeah.
We need to get back to the professionalism, the way it is, where we handle everything in the house, and we actually have the time to talk about that stuff on how do we really protect people. And I think that's the way well, I know that's the way I'm going. And I think that we all kind of need to go that way because we're all in this together. You want your appointments, I want my appointments. And we all know like AI coming around and the carriers trying to pitch direct.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that only takes it so far because the carriers going direct, they still don't have the choice. And there's still no, with us on here, like explaining, you know, different endorsements or holes in the policy and claims metaphors that actually happened.
Yeah.
And letting them sit in the driver's seat and experience that a little bit. They won't make a bad decision once they know better. You know, so that's the biggest thing is for me, it's just all about automation and creating time for both service and your sales. And then automation will get you so far on that before you got to tackle the tools that were being handed.
So with Pure Potential, what can you tell us what that is? Like, I think everyone knows what insurance agency is.
Yeah. So basically, you know, it's, you know, the Microsoft Windows portion of that, the operating system is Infusionsoft. There's several other tools that go into that, and we build our own Slack app called Funnel Cake that is now integrated with Twilio and all kinds of crazy stuff there, that the communication part of it. But it really started by my own pain of being so disappointed at having like $80,000 of leads being completely messed up in my Infusionsoft app. And then you know, then my friend down the street was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "You got to see this. This is the greatest stuff. It's going to allow me to do why I got, you know, to do and provide my clients with why I got into this business in the first place. I didn't get in to sit here and quote and gather data and do data entry and then call an underwriter and beg for it. I got into build and create relationships and have that intimacy of them knowing that I'm providing value to them. And so basically, he saw what I was doing. He pops in about 7 a.m. sometimes, and I was showing him, and then I build it for him. And then I was just on different groups, and I saw people having problems, and like, I'll just do it for you. Just let me know. I'll pop in there, and then I got to the point where okay, I just can't keep recreating this stuff, so I became a Infusionsoft partner, so I can just drop most of it in. Some of it always need to be customized a little bit, but for the most part, it's there.
So you help agents, or I mean, do you work with anybody outside of insurance agencies?
Nope.
Okay, so you work with insurance agencies to basically help them set up and run their automation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Starting to evolve into some other things, but it's all agent based, like working with lenders or real estate companies, automating home quotes back, like no touch stuff, where we just get the information and hit the server, get the quote back. It goes to the prospect, goes to the realtor or mortgage lender, and then it kicks off our marketing tool.
Yeah. So tell me about, okay, so well, I didn't mention Funnel Cake yet. I want to hear more about that because I know a little bit about it, but it's really, really interesting.
Yeah. So I couldn't stand that name when my brother-in-law is a programmer. He's the type of programmer that teaches the programmers.
Okay.
So as I started discovering what Slack could do for our pipeline, and anyway, what it could do when you start segmenting the channels from like new lead to inbound text to any sort of engagement that the prospect has in your email or a client, we can grab all that and send it to Slack. And then it just first started with a text message like, oh, this is cool. Then like, what else can I send there? So when you when you segment the channels right, based from new lead to old lead, where your marketing never stops, because we all have that pile in our office that maybe we don't even know where it's at, and it's worth a lot of money. And depending on how long you've been in the business, it's a lot of money.
Right.
And very few of us have a hard time calling the leads, contacting the leads as much as we should when they're new, let alone year 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. And that's where the relationships are built. That's where the loyalty's built. So automation could do that. But so I started getting into those Slack channels and segmenting it up and then building it out to where we do voicemails to them in the agent's voice and so forth. So it all started going there. And I needed more and more tools inside of Slack. So I contacted Brad, my brother-in-law, and I'm like, hey, I know you can do this. And so he built a Slack app that's fully integrated with Infusionsoft. Um, and what that does is, we can change stages. It has a hyperlink right to the client view where you can see everything you want to see.
Mm.
And you can set call notifications, custom fields, you can apply tags, you can make notes, and it's all real time updated over in Infusionsoft, which is really cool. And then so it just kept growing more and more on the functions, and rarely do we need to go to Infusionsoft anymore. And then we recently brought Twilio into the picture. Now we'll have tap to call out of there and full blown in and out text. So that's not going to be dependent on the app being connected to Infusionsoft. So it could actually be a standalone texting system with just Twilio and whatever, right inside of Slack. So
Wow.
it'll open up the market for a little bit. But for the most part, it's sold a little bit in the States, but for some reason Spain loves the thing. I don't get it. Never talked to them, but it caught on over there. But
Nice.
because it's offered on the Slack store, and it's the only thing that really can control most of the stuff built out there is just the whole purpose is shooting stuff in the Slack, where this is actually controlling another program inside of Slack.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's the exciting part about that. But that changed the game for us on prospecting a little bit, because it's just time, visibility of what's going on in your pipeline and knowing when important things happen. And
Oh yeah.
like my agents, they don't have to worry about where their leads are. They just kind of follow what Slack tells them to do.
Yeah. So can we get an idea of, like, in your agency, I'm sure there's probably automation throughout the whole client prospect journey at some point, but like, you use Infusionsoft, right? Do you use any other, like, do you use ActiveCampaign or anything like that? HubSpot?
No, just because, I can't say good or bad things about those. It's just what I initially bought and
Yeah.
what I learned. So, the whole point is that if you just get involved and start doing something, it's better than doing nothing. And I think
So
communication is the key.
yeah. And so is your point behind your automation, is there a primary focus of it? Is it to free up your team? Is it to better communicate with clients? Is it to, better have inter-office communication, to communicate with referral partners? Like, is there one main primary focus of it, or do you just try to like use it
Well,
every way you can?
it started out just as prospecting, right? That's where we all want to be.
Yeah.
And um, so prospecting has been where the emphasis has been spent. However, it's going more into service. So the whole motivation is crystal clear communication with the clients, but education based on personal risk management. But now it's getting more into how can we create time? Because I think when we look at, it is a CRM, right? We don't think of what it can do outside of that a lot. Guys like Matthias, where he's got his forum and stuff and useful to do triggers, and he's got some great things going on that we spoke about before your show started.
Yeah.
Uh, I think you can create a lot of time. I think we're doing things the long way. If anybody in your service staff is sending out an email repetitively, that should be automated. You should just hit a button and it merges in everything and sends it. And it should be standardized, not so standardized that it's like canned and looks like automation. You don't have to go down that road. You can still be a human being in the automation communication. But when I look at the amount of times that my service reps spent sending out the same purpose type email, and they're all sending out a little bit different way.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no, this happens how many times a day? You can just, now you can just hit a button and it's gone. And if you need information, you can attach it in, a gravity form or something like that. So, you know, workflows, are huge on things that don't finish, that need to be checked, that are very difficult to cram in that one tab, like in a management system under tasks, right?
Yes.
And that's going back to funnel cake for a minute. That's what did it, is like, how many tasks can you handle in your prospecting system's CRM? You know, you might be able to handle them a little bit, but they're really just dumb tasks at the end of something. They're really not based on action too much, or you would just flood that thing out and it would become unmanageable. That's why Slack divides it up, just to jump back and forth a little bit. It lets the thing breathe and you can see it happen as things happen, where you have easy links in your task and notify channel. That's a sweet spot, huh? It just gets flooded. If you use anything in Automation Center for cancellations or whatever, that thing will go on eons. And
Yeah.
you can get 900, 1,000 in there like so quick. So, I mean, it's not realistic. So you can use it. You can use automation, and I use Slack right now because it's kind of the thing. There's going to be something coming on at some point that might be a better solution, but right now that's what it is for me. So we can build workflows with the automation, just to sit there and keep the reminders going as the process goes to its finality. Like, for example, cancellations. If you run a cancellation workflow, we do like step 1, step 2, step 3. First is eliminate. Was it a rewrite? Did they die? Did they move? Is it a legitimate cancel? And then from there, we can kick off a sequence that will post reminders to VAs to say, check, did it reinstate? If not, it's texting them or sending them an email or so forth, depending on what mode of communication we want for that specific client. Or sometimes my agents are picky and they like email or they like text or whatever. Yeah. You can do whatever you want in there, and then ultimately it comes down to it canceled. I don't know if you have Mercury in Arizona, but here, if you ever bind a policy that doesn't have prior, it can get pretty scary, because if you don't have photos for them in 7 days, you could be stuck on the physical damage coverage. So, so we'll trigger that thing right off and start texting that and emailing the heck out of them so they can't say you didn't tell me. Or even discounts that you chase down all the time that you may not be able to get at binding, even though you really want to, just all the time. Proof of alarm or good student or whatever. You can put all those on there and let the automation chase it down. So when they call back on the upgrade, they can say, "Oh, he didn't tell me." No, I kind of did.
Yeah. Told you 8
and
times.
Like a 5-day timer if they have an interior inspection, and notify them. That's what Matthias. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Let them know what, check these credentials. Here's what it's going to do, what they're going to do. Here's how long it's going to take. Call me if you have any questions. So all those things are just value added that facilitate the relationship that nobody else is doing. I mean, I've went for a very long time with probably not even mentioning sometimes, oh, there's going to be an inspection.
Right.
All that stuff that goes on in the back of your mind that you would like to do, but you just don't have time to do, you can use automation to accomplish, I feel 100% of it in the right way.
Yeah. Do you, so you have a fairly large staff team. Are they, or are some of them, or all of them spending time in Infusionsoft and your Rater CRM, your insurance side?
Now they are. Service was last, and it'll pick up now since, EasyLink's got the Zapier going. We'll be able to do more things in there. But yeah, because the internal forms that you're aware of, those are going to trigger a lot and help communication, which just creates time. That's the biggest thing, is creating time, and notifications and workflows and stuff like that will really free them up.
But they don't actually touch the automation for that
No,
stuff.
they
They're
wouldn't. They're
just
like me when I first opened up Infusionsoft. I saw the little lines connecting the sequences, and I just wanted to cancel
yeah, yeah.
out.
Um, so you just touched on something that the easy links piece. So you use easy links for your rater and your insurance side, your download grabber, I guess.
Yeah.
But they just came out with that Zapier integration, and so you're the only person that I've seen posting about you're actually using it, testing it, and you just posted something this morning that you seemed pretty excited about it.
Yeah. So I mean, I have their API, which basically opens up their system to some degree, but it's so antiquated that it's almost unusable to get stuff back in, and it really, really needs to be updated. And like I mentioned, Brad, my brother-in-law that created the Slack app, he looked at the API for me, and it's like, I helped build this thing. They should be giving this thing away for free. You don't even want to use it. Yeah, and I'm like, really? You helped build it? He goes, yeah, I know the guy who created this one. I'm like, wow, okay. But we messed around with it, and we were gonna struggle with it, and I could tell like he was fighting it. So we talked with EasyLinks, and they're supposedly gonna work with more integration after October. But everything in that stuff takes time.
Yeah.
Necessarily always their intention or fault that's lacking. But so the Zapier, I kind of just waited and paused on that, even though that we do have that API. So Zapier, with their current functions, allow me to do whatever I want to do in between both systems. So I have it creating and updating all the contact information between the two systems, and it's working perfectly. However, because most CRMs, they'll only merge probably off an email, check dupes and merge off an email. That wasn't going to work for me, man. Some of our clients, they might have, you know, geez, 7, 8 different truly genuine and legitimate applicant files that have the same contact information.
Yes.
So that's going to push in a CRM. If you're
Yeah.
using that merge field to avoid duplicates, it's going to be shot fast and it'll be unusable. So I actually worked with another person, and we developed a tool out there that once it goes to Zapier, it actually merges off a custom field. And I called that custom field the EasyLinks applicant ID. So your customer app ID that's up in your URL, we're merging off that thing. So we don't have any chance of duplicates or merging the wrong files.
Nice.
So that was crucial, because I could get into trouble really fast with that one. And then you do that, your agents get frustrated, and you're done.
Yeah.
Nobody will use it. That you can't. I had to take a zero probability for error on that one.
That's one of the frustrating things about Active Campaign is they don't have a unique identifier. I mean, truly unique identifier. They use the customer email address as the unique identifier.
Yeah,
So,
that's the same as Infusionsoft, Josh.
oh, is it really?
Oh yeah, it's like the social number.
Oh, wow. Because when you were just talking about that, I was thinking, oh yeah, I didn't even think about that we have, like, the same customer might have 4 different accounts inside of EasyLinks. And so like that's going to screw up in the, an Active Campaign if we were pushing information there or back. Like, how's it going to know which one to go to? So you created another go between, basically?
Yeah, so the Zapier post sends a webhook out to a separate tool that goes in Infusionsoft and checks for the app ID. And if it's there, it updates it. And if it's not there, it creates it.
I see. Interesting.
Yeah. So it's the only unique identifier I could get. And it was fun because it was kind of painful, actually, because I had a lot of leads that never made it into Infusionsoft. So I had no app IDs. I couldn't just export a list and upload it in Infusionsoft because the whole duplicate mess, right?
Yeah.
So I had to pull. I mean, we have like a little shy of 30,000 applicants in EasyLinks, and I had 4,600 leads in Infusionsoft that never made it over there. So I had to print both out, fight with Excel, identify them, uh, find the duplicates, remove those out, and then upload what was remaining into EasyLinks to create the app ID and pull that same list out, upload it back to pre-fill the app ID,
Oh yeah.
and then pull those lists out, merge them again, because the whole thing's live, right? You're doing it on the fly. So it's
Yeah.
changing while you're working. And so then once you have what's left, then you can upload those into Infusionsoft safely.
Got it.
You have to take a little precaution, and then you can hook this stuff up and go from there.
Got it.
But for us, we had, you can, we converted from AMS 360 last July. So EasyLinks helped us in creating a lot of duplicates. It blew apart some households, and so we had a lot of work to get our database cleaned up. And that's one of the things I can stress. Like if you're, you can turn on automation anytime you want for prospecting and have it really work for you. But if, depending on how old your AMS database is and how big it is, you probably got some work to do.
Yeah, that
And
makes
it's
sense.
painful work, but EasyLinks, it wasn't really their fault because our data was kind of messed up in 360 because it was a free for all in there. There was no organization or structure in there. We had like 10 lead sources that are all the same guy because they
Yeah.
get it wrong every time. So it just let you do whatever you wanted to do. But EasyLinks has the co-applicant feature, which was solid on correcting that for us. And I ran, before I converted it over, I ran everything through a check number bot. So I knew who had mobiles before EasyLinks converted because I gave them the phone numbers before they did it. But anyway, so there's work there for some people. It's not that much, but when you're, what am I, like 18 years into this? Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that came and left. And, 10 years ago, we didn't know that we were going to be using this information.
Right.
So there was some cleanup to do, but we got on it and it's got it done. There's still a little bit left in inactive clients that are truly prospects. They never had active policies, but we're working through those right now.
Gotcha. And so what, when it comes to that, I guess I want to talk more about the EasyLinks Zapier thing, but it's, we kind of talked about this a little bit before we started recording, but I'm surprised that you are using EasyLinks because we use EasyLinks, but we've only not switched because I haven't felt the massive need push to switch. But there's so many better, I want to say better, but other options that are seemingly more technologically friendly. And I guess you can do more in other agency management systems that are insurance facing. And so I was just really surprised to know that you're on EasyLinks.
Well, I fought it for a long time. I tried the Raider a while ago and I swore I would never mention that name again. I canceled it. And, I started looking around and seeing what my options were. And I knew for me, it wasn't Applied. And especially now, since I set up some people on automation with Applied, that thing is so locked down. We'll never get anything out of that. But unless they change, which is highly unlikely. And the thing that did it for me first is the same database for the Raider as the manager.
I love that.
To me, that's so powerful, in my opinion. And also the sync to be able to reshop faster. Retention Center is a huge plus that I didn't have anything like that in 360.
Yeah.
So to be able to see that and act on it is huge. Then I was still kind of confused about what I wanted. But going down to the agent links in San Diego early last year, it was the people that really sold me and their presentations. I'm like, okay, I kind of felt like they came and sat in my office for a year and wanted to do the things that I wanted to do. it's going to take them a very long time, if ever they get to it, and it's never going to be perfect, but their intentions, well, and look what they did with the management system. What has it been, like 6 or 7 years right now? And
Yeah, it's been
again, I swore I would even never use the Raider again. It's like, no way. But I don't know as an all-in-one anything else that has what it has, as far as that goes. Now, where we got our ass kicked, and I'll say that very strictly, is the accounting piece just rolled us over, because AMS 360's accounting piece was bulletproof, really. Well, they integrate with QuickBooks, and it's just not the best. We have it integrated and we use it. It's just for the person that handles commissions in my office. She's used to running bigger companies, and it goes against like everything that she.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But she's found the quirks in it, and she knows where the errors happen, and we rely on the integration for the trust account into QuickBooks. It's not ideal. I believe they're working on it. I mean, I still have to have my commission statements emailed to me every month in Excel, and we format them here because we can't push the volume into QuickBooks for the transaction. So we had to switch to summary mode, and that only gives us an invoice. And there's no way I'm going to give my agents an invoice and say, "Here's your."
Yeah.
Just like me, I would want to know what the hell am I getting paid on, and they deserve
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So there are in a couple groups and a couple different areas, a lot of agents, including myself, have griped quite a bit about EasyLinks and how slow they are to move and add, when at least a handful of people are saying, change this, open this, make it better. Let's go. I mean, do you feel like people are being impatient, that it's a large company, it just takes a long time to switch? Or
that's a struggle for me, because you got to understand, I got on AMS 360 in 2005, and they didn't do anything which put lipstick on it called platform, and it was really the same thing underneath it. So to me they moved fast, because AMS didn't do anything, and they still can't even get either one of their raters in the same database. And they didn't even have a CRM, or you had to buy it separate and pay all these Microsoft fees. And the last quote I got for that before I decided to leave, it was more expensive than the management system. What I came from, this is an unbelievable experience for me, because the amount of time that it saves my agents, and they fought, they kicked and screamed, and but now they're on it. You want to go back to FSC and 360? Oh, hell no.
Yeah.
They would kill me. So, and also too, I tend to be a little bit more compassionate, and especially in the way that I try to talk with them to get stuff done, because just with what I'm doing is you're constantly evolving, and you got to update, and it gets really hard, and it's live, I mean, it's rolling, and businesses are depending upon it. And you don't know what those changes you push in, what they're going to affect somewhere else, and mistakes are going to happen. I mean, how many times they push out an update and just roll it right back?
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. That thing's, I'm a minuscule, I'm like a little micro thing, or what they're doing. So I can understand what they're doing there. I question if they're on the right technology, but for me, with where I'm at right now, I think it's the best choice, even though my accounting department hates it, if you can call it accounting, or commissions department and bookkeeping and all that. That's been a struggle for them, but for the agents, oh man, it's a win-win.
Yeah.
We're testing out Submission Center right now for commercial, and that's nice. And there's a lot of things that are really, really benefit about it. And I think a lot of people jump ship a lot without realizing the tools that they do have.
Yeah.
I see people, oh, I'm changing here or changing there, and it's like, wow, man, I can't believe how much you change management systems.
Well, I think, if you have a 1 or 2 person team, that might be something that's more doable. But when you're talking large agencies, it's a whole nother issue. So, if for a new or somebody who's wanting to start implementing some automation in their agency, what would you say would be, some of the things they should think about or prepare for or whatever before just going and signing up for a system and jumping in?
I would say see demos, ask people, see before you buy for sure. That was my mistake. And really, what is it that is holding you back right now? Is it on service or is it on sales? If it's on sales, do you have a lead flow that you're going to be consistent with? Right? We talked a little bit about that. Is it something that brings you in the type of leads that fits your target market, that can provide a high enough closing ratio on them to make it worth your time? And if not, what else is there? Like, where's your business coming from? If it's referrals, what can we do there? Is it, win backs? What can you do there? Or, all the dead leads that you have just sitting there, is there something there? So, and then on the service side, what is your pain points? It's there's so much to do, and it just depends. But if you're going to go in the service side, you got to make sure your database is clean first, and you have to go through the pain. I did not want to do that. We spent 3 or 4 weeks just straight doing that. So really, I mean, I think it's something that, even if you're thinking about going down automation to help support servicing and client communications and so forth, even if you're not ready, you should start preparing it. And just like what was it, Jason Cass said at Innovation last year, it's like our value is going to be on data. And
Yeah.
I think he's dead on there. Like, what's the quality of your data, and how usable is it for yourself or whoever you sell it to? Nobody wants to buy your client database if you don't have any emails or phone numbers. You rely on Outlook to type their name and populate the guy to send it out. So just getting sound on there. And then where's the current staff? Because I can see staff being a big, or team, or whichever way you want to call it. They could kill it before it even begins, even on the prospecting side.
Yeah.
So it was funny because I was watching an artificial intelligence little something or another from this lady at Hartford, and she goes, once we get off these legacy platforms, we're going to have a legacy people problem.
Yeah.
And you got to start working through that a little bit, unless you're getting ready to retire. And I can tell you about the agencies that I know, one person can kill the whole thing. They don't give it a shot. They can piss right on it before they even start working on it. And typically those people might be the most trusted.
Yeah.
The one that is being expected to hold the place together. And with that said, is that so? I think a friend of mine recently kind of went through that, been with him since day one, and found out that really nothing was going on. And yet it was really just discouraging for the entire rest of the staff. Pop that one out. Oh, the place is brand new and thriving. Everybody wants to learn. Production's up. And it was that guy that was isolated, right? He's untouchable, can never, and he was the single biggest reason holding the agency back, and couldn't even get, easy links in correctly and get the clients assigned correctly and stuff. So, but there was so much trust and loyalty and time behind it that it was never questioned. It was just assumed he was doing the right thing. So you have to, for me, I had to go back and say, what are you doing? Okay, let me see how you do that. What are you sending them? Because you might be quite shocked at some of the processes that are going around that you assume. So I would say open up your eyes and get involved. And I'm not kind of pointing fingers at anybody. I'm just saying, this is my experience. Is like, how are you doing that? How long does it take you to do that? Oh my gosh, what are you saying in that email?
Right.
And it's like, wait, that's not consistent at all with what we are doing, over explaining, under explaining, being in a rush. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
that it's not that it was bad. It was just like, there's a better way to do this. So
Yeah.
that's kind of like a long-winded thing, but I would say get to work inside, get involved, learn the tools that you have and what you don't need to automate, and use those effectively. And then, you know, get the people excited that change is happening, and get them on board. I mean, we've even been watching, like, we have on Tuesdays, like a video lunch, and it's all about change. It's all about getting on the next thing. And messages are all about, look at, we're going this way. Who in the room doesn't fit? Because we're going to have to sit down when we get there. And
Yeah.
I really want you there. I do. But just know that you have plenty of time. It's like a year. We're all going to be on the same path, speak the same message, in your own way. But I, that legacy people thing, she hit me right like a ton of bricks with that. Because you
Hmm.
have people that fight. They'll fight you all the time, and they just don't want change. Not that they're bad people. They just don't want any change.
Yeah.
I think you have to. We're in a time right now where you got to drive costs down. And the one thing I left out when I said personal risk management and automations is also using that automation with VAs. You got to drive your cost into the ground and build the relationships better than ever right now. And it'll be the most exciting time to be in the business for me. It'll be
Hmm.
just there's so much opportunity and so much that we can go after if we just get it right.
Yeah.
But people are the problem, and then processes. How are we going to do this? And then that's a long wind. But if you got work to do there, that's going to take time. Just focus on it and take the time to do that as you can. I'm kind of like an all or nothing. So we're just going to go dive into the almost 30,000 names, and we're all going to pull together and sort it out, get everybody on board and do it. Because I want it out of the way. I'm too desperate to start using this stuff.
Hmm.
On the prospecting side, anybody can go that route. So if you have a quality lead flow that you can pipe in there, whatever its form, put it in there. Even if it's just into a referral into like a quoting, a quote sent follow-up, nurture into like a welcome campaign that builds that relationship. Anything you can do to get those extra touch points in an elegant way with what your brand represents is saving time. And especially on the people that you either lost or before they became a client or after they became a client, and always be working the leads. No lead ever dies out anymore unless they opt out or they become a client.
Hmm.
They're just going to stay in an infinite loop. That's a long journey. So that's my message. It's like you can put literally how many, whatever the lead count is behind each agent. With automation, you just record the voicemails appropriately, and you can basically have how many telemarketers you're behind them as you want. And you don't have to do anything. You don't have to hire dialers. You don't have to manage them. You don't have to pay them. It's like 2 cents to 4 cents a voice drop. It's like you're never going to be able to do that. And not only that, it's not somebody else calling that didn't talk to them before. This is in your agent's voice.
Right.
So that's the big plus, is work that back end, close the door, and stop, for me, stop wasting leads that will never be called in the future.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, hey, if people have questions about anything we've talked about, or if they'd like help setting up automation, or talking to you, whatnot, how can they find you? Where's the best place?
The Facebook group, Peer Potential Insurance Automation, or just peer-potential.net is the website. And
Okay.
then if you're feeling really crafty and want to try out an automated conversation, which, by the way, we don't use in insurance that much, but it's 949-536-7824. Once again, 949-536-7824. Just text the word automate to that, and it'll go through and shoot you out an email with some stuff.
Sweet. Yeah, I'll link to all those in the show notes, so
Cool.
anybody can grab it there too. Cool. Awesome. Chad,
Yeah.
thank you so much, man. I appreciate your time.
Great. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, keep trucking with the Zapier integration, because I want you to show me what I need to do. I want you to figure it out, and I'll just jump on your coattails. And
I got that down. I can help you out with just the main thing is
awesome.
integrating it, the database.
Cool, man. Well, thanks again. Everyone who's listening, if you've not subscribed yet, please do so wherever you're listening. It really helps us out. Leave a comment. Message me if you have any questions. I'd love to chat. Thank you again.